When we think of mind control, we usually picture a movie villain dangling a pocket watch or using some kind of high-tech device. But actual manipulation looks like a perfectly normal, quiet conversation over coffee. Every single human being carries psychological vulnerabilities. Two of the most common are an intense thirst for validation and a deep fear of failure. A skilled manipulator acts like a walking emotional radar. When they talk to you, they are actively listening for those gaps in your defenses, testing your reactions to figure out exactly what kind of reassurance or praise you desperately crave. Manipulation bypasses physical force entirely, focusing instead on a slow overwrite of your basic sense of reality, so that you give them exactly what they want, entirely of your own free will. This diagram illustrates the mechanics of the cognitive hack. A single shared reality splinters into three distinct, distorted tracks. To protect yourself, you have to understand how manipulators systematically attack your perception across all three fronts: the future, the present, and the past. The attack usually begins with a tactic called future faking. They paint highly specific, vivid pictures of shared goals, like looking at houses together or outlining a new business venture, without ever intending to follow through. They exploit a simple biological trait. Human brains are wired to trust patterns and words. When you hear these elaborate descriptions, your brain treats them as real, guaranteed commitments. You start organizing your daily life around a future that only exists in their words. You turn down other opportunities and excuse their immediate bad behavior because you are deeply invested in the payoff that is supposedly coming. Then, when you finally ask why those promises haven't materialized, the target moves. They shift the timelines, get incredibly vague, and suddenly introduce new requirements you have to meet before that future can happen. Those promises are never actual plans. They are psychological tools engineered for a single purpose: to keep you distracted, invested, and compliant right now. This diagram represents a tactic called moral licensing, which distorts how you interact in the present day. Watch how a manipulator uses one small act of kindness, represented by this tiny weight on this scale, as currency to buy permission for cruelty. Once they have that credit, they cash it in to justify terrible behavior. If you object to being insulted or neglected, they aggressively point back to that one good deed, and in their version of the ledger, a massive amount of harm mathematically balances out to zero. This leaves you constantly second-guessing yourself. You start to wonder if you actually have a right to be upset, and you end up feeling profoundly ungrateful just for complaining about being mistreated. They compound this confusion through intermittent reinforcement. By mixing those rare moments of kindness with sudden, unpredictable coldness, they trigger an addictive dopamine loop in your brain, forcing you to chase their approval. By hijacking the present, manipulators weaponize your natural empathy and your desire for fairness, ensuring your emotional boundaries are in a constant state of collapse. Eventually, you hit a breaking point. You notice these glaring discrepancies and attempt to confront them about what actually happened. This is when they deploy selective memory. You bring up a specific argument or a hurtful comment, and they simply look confused, confidently denying events that you witnessed firsthand. This animated diagram illustrates how they escalate to victim reversal. They flip the entire narrative, replacing the line of objective facts with their own fabricated history, suddenly claiming that you were the one who started the fight and caused the harm. This tactic aims beyond winning a single argument. It is designed to systematically erode your confidence until you lose trust in your own perception of reality. If a manipulator successfully dictates the past, history becomes whatever they need it to be in the moment, completely insulating them from any form of accountability. By controlling your future hopes, eroding your present boundaries, and scrambling your past memories, the manipulator traps you in a thick psychological fog. You know you are in this fog when you find yourself constantly apologizing for their mistakes and exhausting yourself trying to hit targets that keep moving. To defend yourself in the present and the past, remember two rules. Morality does not work like a bank account where a single kindness buys the right to cause harm, and reality is not negotiable just because someone confidently denies it. And to protect your future, firmly establish that a promise without consistent action is not a plan, it is a distraction. Recognizing these mechanical patterns strips the manipulator of their camouflage. It gives you the clarity to trust your own judgment and step decisively out of their manufactured reality.